What if I told you that the biggest story in artificial intelligence right now isn't about sentient robots or creative chatbots? What if the real story is about a trillion-dollar gamble that's quietly reshaping our economy? And what if I told you that, according to research from MIT, a staggering 95% of corporate AI pilot projects are failing to create any measurable business value? That's right, 95%. For all the headlines and hype, the vast majority of these expensive corporate experiments are, financially speaking, a total bust. Hello and welcome to Mindcast. I'm your host, Will, and this is the show where we dive deep into the ideas shaping our world. Today, we're venturing beyond the science fiction and into the hard numbers of the AI gold rush. We're going to pull back the curtain on the incredible financial gamble being made by the biggest names in tech, a gamble so huge it's forcing them to change the very purpose of artificial intelligence itself. Over the next 20 minutes, you're going to learn why the simple subscription model for AI is mathematically doomed, how that failure is leading to a shocking strategy of payroll cannibalization, and why this is all setting the stage for what some are calling a subprime AI crisis. This isn't just a story for tech insiders. It's a story about the future of work, the stability of our economy, and the real price of progress. So let's get into it. Our first key insight is what I call the trillion-dollar gamble. To understand what's happening, you have to grasp the sheer, mind-boggling scale of the money involved. The companies leading the AI race, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Meta, are in the middle of the most aggressive infrastructure build-out in human history. We're talking about data centers so massive they require their own power plants, computational power on a scale that rivals national utility grids. This is what the source document calls the CapEx Leviathan. CapEx, or capital expenditure, is the money a company spends to buy, maintain, or upgrade physical assets. And in AI, these expenditures are truly monstrous. Here's the killer statistic. For the fiscal year 2025, major tech firms are projected to spend a cumulative $1 trillion on AI cloud infrastructure. Let me say that again, $1 trillion in a single year. To put that in perspective, the entire Apollo program that put a man on the moon cost about $280 billion in today's dollars. This is orders of magnitude larger. And this isn't just an abstract number. The physical manifestation of this spending is staggering. The document details plans for a data center codenamed Stargate in Abilene, Texas, a single facility so massive that Oracle has committed to purchasing $40 billion worth of NVIDIA chips just to power it. That translates to an estimated 400,000 advanced GPUs for one project. We're seeing a global scramble for energy and real estate to support this computational arms race, with similar mega projects being planned in places like the United Arab Emirates. Economists note that this level of spending is so massive it barely registers in normal productivity data. Instead, it's all concentrated on the non-residential fixed investment side of the GDP ledger. Observers have pointed out that we haven't seen investment at this level since the rapid expansion of railroad networks in the 19th century or the rural electrification initiatives of the early 20th. This isn't just business as usual, it's a foundational reshaping of the economic landscape financed by monumental borrowing. Meta is securing a $27 billion credit line just for data centers. Oracle plans to borrow $25 billion annually just to meet its AI computing obligations. They are, in essence, transforming from high-margin software companies into highly leveraged, capital-intensive utility companies. Now, you'd assume that with a $1 trillion investment, the revenues must be pouring in, right? Well, here's the other side of the equation. In that same time frame, the actual revenue derived from AI services is projected to be just $30 billion. This isn't just a gap, it's a chasm.
It's a 33-to-1 disparity between spending and earning. For every dollar they're making, they're spending 33. No business can survive that. This is the fundamental mathematical failure of the current AI business model.
The initial idea was to sell AI like any other software, a simple $20 a month subscription. But unlike traditional software, where adding another user costs virtually nothing, every single query you type into an AI chatbot costs them real money in computational power. Heavy users can easily cost the company more than their subscription fee is worth.
Analysts at Goldman Sachs calculated that to get even a modest 10% return on their investment, the AI industry would need to generate $600 billion a year. The entire market for similar enterprise software is only projected to be around $62 billion by 2030. The numbers just don't add up. OpenAI's internal finances reveal the intense pressure. Despite significant public interest, the company spent $9 billion in 2024 to operate its services, resulting in a staggering net loss of $5 billion for the year. Their inference costs, the raw expense of running queries, are expected to surge to nearly $47 billion annually by 2030. Internal documents showed that 75% of their projected 2025 subscription revenue will be consumed just by baseline operating costs, leaving almost nothing for debt servicing or research. Analysts project cumulative losses for OpenAI alone could reach an astonishing $115 billion by 2029.
So, these companies have leveraged themselves to the hilt, taking on tens of billions in debt, all for a product that can't pay for itself through subscriptions. This immense financial pressure has forced a radical and, frankly, alarming strategic pivot, which brings us to our second key insight.
Key Insight 2: The Agentic Pivot and Payroll Cannibalization.
If you can't make enough money selling your product as a simple tool, what do? You change what the product is for. The leaders of the AI race have realized they can't make a return by selling to individuals or to a company's limited software budget. To justify the trillion-dollar spend, they need to tap into a much, much larger pool of money. The single biggest expense for nearly every company on Earth, the payroll budget. This is the agentic pivot. The industry is aggressively shifting its focus from developing AI assistants or co-pilots, tools that help humans, to creating autonomous AI agents. An agent isn't a tool. An agent is a digital employee. It's designed not to augment a human worker, but to wholly subsume their role. The financial logic is brutal and simple. If you sell a software tool, you might get a few $100s a year from a company's IT budget. But if you sell a system that replaces a full-time employee, you can suddenly charge tens of thousands of dollars, tapping directly into the multi-trillion-dollar global payroll. Even OpenAI's own charter has been redefined. It now describes AGI not by its intelligence, but by its economic utility, as a system that outperforms humans at most economically valuable work. This brings us to a really dark and counterintuitive phenomenon: payroll cannibalization. You see, we're already seeing massive layoffs at major corporations. But here is the critical part. The data shows these job losses are often not because AI is already doing the work. The layoffs are happening because companies need to free up cash to pay for the incredibly expensive AI infrastructure. When Amazon laid off 14,000 employees, CEO Andy Jassy himself admitted the cuts were not even really AI-driven. The company was under immense financial stress from its massive capital expenditures. Capital is being systematically drained from human payrolls to service the debt from the AI arms race. As one analyst quoted in the report so brilliantly put it, AI isn't replacing jobs. AI spending is. Ting! Let that sink in. Companies are firing people to afford the technology that is supposedly being built to fire people. It's a painful macroeconomic divergence where investment is flowing away from human capital and directly into the server farms of a new tech oligopoly. But this entire grand, ruthless strategy hinges on one single critical assumption: that the technology actually works well enough to replace a person. And what if it doesn't? This brings us to our third and final key insight: the efficacy deficit and the subprime AI crisis. Despite all the marketing, the apocalyptic theories, and the massive financial restructuring, the empirical data on the ground tells a very different story. The current generation of AI agents is, for the most part, failing to deliver the promised labor replacement utility. And this is where we come back to that shocking number from the top of the show. The research from the MIT Sloan School of Management is devastating to the AI hype. Fewer than 1 in 10 generative AI pilot projects generate actual financial returns, and a full 95% of them fail to create any measurable business value. They are, in effect, massive capital sinks. Why is this happening? Because there's a fundamental misunderstanding of what these systems can do. They are statistical engines that predict the next word in a sentence. They don't reason, they don't have contextual awareness, and they certainly don't have judgment. Researchers at MIT even developed a framework called EPOC, which stands for empathy, presence, opinion, creativity, and hope. 5 uniquely human capabilities that current AI architectures fundamentally struggle to replicate. This failure to perform has triggered what analysts are calling the subprime AI crisis. Think back to the 2008 financial crisis, which was caused by a bubble in subprime mortgages, faulty assets that were bundled and sold as if they were rock solid. The parallel here is chilling. Tech giants have accumulated hundreds of billions in infrastructure debt based on the assumption that companies would pay a premium to buy AI agents that could replace human payrolls. But the agents don't work reliably. Companies are finding they require immense human oversight, and they fail at basic tasks, so the enterprise revenue isn't materializing. The structural cracks are already showing. Reports indicate that up to 50% of planned data centers are now being delayed or canceled. If the underlying product, the AI agent, cannot secure the revenue required to service the mountain of debt, the bubble will inevitably rupture. And when it does, it could send catastrophic shockwaves not just through the tech sector, but through the entire global economy. So, let's synthesize what we've learned. The story of AI right now is a story of economics under extreme pressure. First, the AI industry has a monumental spending problem, a $1 trillion hole that traditional subscriptions can't possibly fill. Second, to solve this, they've pivoted to a ruthless strategy: redefine AI as a direct replacement for human labor to capture massive corporate payroll budgets, leading to layoffs that fund the infrastructure, not the outcome. And third, the entire plan is failing because the technology simply isn't ready, creating a dangerous economic bubble built on debt and hype, a subprime crisis in the making. What does this mean for you, a curious non-expert trying to make sense of it all? Here are 3 concrete takeaways. 1. Be critical of the AI replaces all jobs narrative. When you hear about layoffs being blamed on AI, ask the deeper question. Is the AI actually doing the job, or is the company just cutting costs to pay its AI bills? The data suggests it's far more often the latter. 2. Understand that current AI is more of a flawed, powerful tool than a perfect replacement. Its true sustainable value lies in augmenting human capabilities, helping us do our jobs better, not in outright substitution. The most successful AI implementations are narrow and focused, not grand autonomous agents. And 3, watch for the economic signs of this bubble. Pay attention to news about data center constructions being halted or tech companies suddenly changing their AI pricing models. These are the canaries in the coal mine, signaling that the $1 trillion gamble may be starting to unwind. The story of AGI is not just about technology. It's about the very human decisions being made under immense financial pressure. By prioritizing speculative infrastructure over the tangible, irreducible value of human capital, the leaders of the AI race have made a bet that could either reshape our world or bring the whole system crashing down. That's all the time we have for today on Mindcast. Thank you for joining me on this deep dive into the hidden economics of AI. If you found this perspective valuable, please subscribe to Mindcast wherever you get your podcasts. For a link to the sources we discussed today, be sure to check out our show notes. I'm Will, and I look forward to exploring another big idea with you next time.